Hello YouTube, this is the Apple iPhone 5, their flagship released in 2012. What does it have to offer? How good is it still in 2015? And should you buy one? I'm going to answer these questions in this video, so stay tuned. Now, onto the star of the show, the Apple iPhone 5. Like I said, it was released in 2012, actually in September, as the successor to the very successful iPhone 4S. Compared to the iPhone 4S, the iPhone 5 has double the memory, a faster CPU. This has an A6 dual core at 1.3 GHz, compared to the A5 1 GHz based on Cortex A9. This has Apple's Swift design, which is much more efficient, and it has a higher clock speed. It has a bigger screen. This is a 4-inch IPS panel with Gorilla Glass at a resolution of 640 by 1136. And as you can see, it is indeed very crisp and vibrant. Other things this phone really supports is this camera over here. Oh, shut up, you. This is a 720p FaceTime camera. It will do 720p 30 FPS. And it's, well, okay. It's a better webcam than you find on the 2015 MacBook 12-inch Retina, that's for sure. Here's, of course, the speaker. Here is the home button. On the bottom, we find a 3.5mm audio jack, lightning connector, which also supports USB 2.0, speakers. Here on the side, we have the SIM card tray for nano SIM, lock button, volume rockers and mute switch. And on the back we find no more glass, it's just aluminum now on the iPhone 5. An 8 megapixel 1080p camera with LED flash. Most of the videos you find on my channel from the last couple months have been shot with this particular iPhone 5. This one is actually a 16GB model, but there were also 32 and 64GB models available. So, that is pretty much the hardware tour of the iPhone 5. Let's take a look at the software side of things. So, this is what iOS 8 looks like. The iPhone 5 was originally released with iOS 6, but this one is now running iOS 8.2. Of course, we're connected to Wi-Fi. It supports 802.11a, b, g, and n, Bluetooth 4.0, and all that kind of good stuff. So it supports a lot of modern features. You can use this phone, for instance, with your Apple Watch, if you so desire. The iPhone 5 is the last phone, or at least the oldest phone, that will support the Apple Watch. It's also the oldest phone to support handoff properly. The 4S, in theory, supports it, but, you know, this is really the way to go if you want to make phone calls on your Mac or your iPad, for instance. This is definitely the phone to get. 1 GB of RAM is definitely a must-have for iOS 8. 512 megs is just not enough. And that really shows because on this phone, everything is just very zippy. Let's do some web browsing, for instance. Let's go to the website of CNN. Let's see how that loads up. Here we go. As you can see, we can scroll through it just fine. I don't know what went wrong there, but we're back. As you can see, it scrolls through just fine. Very quickly, very smoothly. Let's open up Meme Center. There's a lot of images on this website, so let's scroll through. As you can see, it doesn't skip a beat. Very smooth. Responds very quickly to the double tap command. Even though I have a shitload of apps open. Let's open up another app, Fling here. It's a very nice app. Scan the network. Open up a game here, Hill Climb Racing. And it's loaded very quickly. So let's see how gaming performance is on the iPhone 5. Just a quick test here. I haven't played this game in ages, by the way. As you can see, it's perfectly smooth, even at this resolution. It does offer triple core PowerVR graphics, which definitely shows because it's a pretty quick little phone here. So there we go. So let's cut to the chase here. Is it good for web browsing? Yes, it is. I just showed you. Is it good for recording? Well, if you check out some other videos on my channel, you will see at least the last 2 months the videos I made were recorded with the iPhone 5. So is it good for video recording? Sure it is. It has a 1080p camera. That's very decent. Is it good for video chatting? Well, that depends. If you're willing to put up your phone like this when you're talking to people, the camera will be more than enough. It's 720p, so it's better than the MacBook camera. So that's really a plus. Is it good for texting? Yeah, it is. So, you know, let's open up, for instance, a conversation with WhatsApp. Can you see how well that responds to the keys? Even if you type pretty quickly, it doesn't skip a beat. Works just fine. Is it good for texting? Hell yeah, it is. Is it good for emailing? Well, pretty much the same as texting. Sure it is. Just open up your email. Let's reply. What's up? Fuck you. If I could type, that would say that. Let's remove the concept and go back. So yes, it's also good for emailing. Even Spotlight came up quickly. Well, that's pretty much a miracle. Also supports Siri, of course, if you press the home button long enough. I'm currently not on iOS 8.3, so Siri in Dutch is not supported. That's why it said that. That's why it said the regular old voice control app. But yeah, it's very zippy. Animations are fluid most of the time. And it's just overall a very, very zippy device. So what is it like to use day to day? Well, I can easily get through a day on a battery. There are some iPhone 5s, especially the earlier ones, that do suffer from deteriorating batteries. Apple still has a replacement program for those, so check their website to see if yours is eligible. Mine was not, because this one was made in late 2013, actually after the iPhone 5s release, which is interesting. But yeah, sir, I'm just running a benchmark so you can get an idea of its performance. So yeah, on every day-to-day use, it's absolutely fine. I can easily get through the day with about 6 to 7 hours of screen-on time on the very heavy days, and on the lighter days I get home with over 60 or even 60 to 70% left. That's when I use the phone about maybe 3 to 4 hours or so. So that's actually really, really good. And as you can see, it eats through this benchmark no problem. So yeah, overall, it hasn't really aged all that much in these 3 years that it has been released. Compared to an iPhone 5S, sure, it's a little bit slower because the 5S offers an A7 CPU. But then again, it costs 50% more, sometimes even more than that. Well, it doesn't necessarily offer a 50% better experience. You can have these for about, well, between 150 and 250 bucks, depending on the condition. And, you know, it supports all of the modern technologies, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4, it does support LTE. So you're not really missing out on much if you go with an iPhone 5. On the other hand, though, here in Europe, it does not support LTE on every single band. So if you want, you know, the good things of that, you really need to step up to a 5C, which has pretty much the same specifications, just a 100 MHz bumping clock speed, and of course a different LTE modem. As you can see, the overall system gets 3,472 marks, which is not bad. It's 2 cores, 16 gigabytes, 1 gig of RAM. CPU scores 25,412, disk scores 11,000, memory 3K, 2D 1K, 3D almost 2K. Okay. That's not too bad, actually. Let's submit the results and view them online. So yeah, let's check the iOS passmark chat or chart. So the iPhone 5 scores roughly the same overall score as the Apple iPad Air 2 Wi-Fi model. Well, that's interesting. It's only a 10% delta in between them, as you can see there. That is very, very impressive. Certain in synthetics, it actually scores just as well as the later models that Apple rolled out years after this. That really shows that the iPhone 5 hasn't really aged all that much throughout the years. It is still a very capable device, and if you're in the market for one and you're willing to accept its drawbacks in terms of battery life, and in some countries the LTE connectivity, and you really have one very sweet and cheap device. The iPhone 5C is made out of plastic. This one is pure aluminum and glass. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's definitely the one to take if you're willing to accept the drawbacks, like I said. This concludes my video on the iPhone 5. Should you buy it? Hell yes, you should. It's a very capable device still in 2015, 3 years after its release. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I thank you all for watching.